Hello students, welcome to yet another lecture in my remedial lecture series that we have started in this week to cover our important topics. And in today's lecture we are going to discuss unilateral Laplace transform and the use of unilateral Laplace transform for the solution of linear constant coefficient differential equation. Yesterday in my last class I already told you that Laplace transform is a very important tool to solve the linear constant coefficient differential equation and to get the total solution of the equation. We'll see how this transformation method is used to calculate the solution of a linear constant coefficient differential equation. Although unilateral Laplace transform is not mentioned in your syllabus, but for the solution of linear constant coefficient differential equation, we'll take the help of unilateral Laplace transform and see how this method is useful in calculating the total solution of linear constant coefficient differential equation. Now, first question arises that what is a unilateral Laplace transform? I already gave you an introduction about unilateral Laplace transform and told you that how it is different from the bilateral Laplace transform. The difference occurs only in the limits of integration. In case of bilateral Laplace transform, we have already seen that the integration time limits start from minus infinite to plus infinite, but this requirement prevents its use for analyzing some systems with non-zero initial conditions. We will see that what will be the output of some systems with when the condition in the input side is given with non-zero initial conditions, and these systems are known as non-relaxed systems. So, how to calculate the solution for non-relaxed systems? For the solution of non-relaxed systems, we have to take the use of unilateral Laplace transform because in such cases the bilateral Laplace transform is not useful. So the unilateral Laplace transform, because of its some very important properties, is very useful in analyzing the non-relaxed systems. So if the system is a relaxed system means without any initial conditions, when no initial conditions are given to a system, that system is known as a relaxed system. And such systems are normal systems, and we analyze the systems by the help of bilateral Laplace transform. But if some initial conditions are given with the system, then in that case the system is defined as non-relaxed systems. And for non-relaxed systems with given initial conditions, the analysis will be done by the help of unilateral Laplace transform. So the unilateral Laplace transform of a signal xt is defined as xs again, but the integration is now in this case will be from integration 0 to infinite xt raised to minus of st dt. The formula is same, but the limit of integration has been changed in this case. Now come directly to the property of the unilateral Laplace transform. Now see, all the properties that have been discussed for the bilateral Laplace transform are also applicable in the same manner to the unilateral Laplace transform, but exception is there in the case of differentiation property. We will see that the differentiation property of a bilateral Laplace transform differs from the differentiation property of the unilateral Laplace transform. So be alert in this case when you are going to solve a system with a non-relaxed condition by the help of unilateral Laplace transform. The differentiation property of unilateral Laplace transform will be applicable in this case. In this case, the differentiation property of bilateral Laplace transform will not be applicable. Now, what is the property here? If ft is have a Laplace transform defined as fs, then the Laplace transform of f dash t or dft by dt will be defined as sfs minus f0. Very simple formula. For dft by dt, the Laplace unilateral Laplace transform is sfs minus f0. Similarly, for f double dash t or d2ft by dt square, the Laplace transform is s square fs minus sf0 minus of f dash 0. As a general case, for f raised to nt, for differentiation with n times, the unilateral Laplace transform formula is s raised to n fs minus s raised to n minus 1 f0 minus s raised to n minus 2 f dash 0. Like that it goes, and at the last point it will be minus of s raised to n minus n, that is s raised to 0 f raised to n minus 1 0. This is the differentiation property of unilateral Laplace transform. It will be used when you are going to solve non-relaxed systems. When you are going to solve non-relaxed systems, you will be using the differentiation property of unilateral Laplace transform. Similarly, in this case, the difference is very simple. When the system is defined with relaxed conditions, that is no initial conditions are given, the formula will obstruct from this up to this point only. That means the formula will not have the values of f0, f dash 0, and in that case the value of dft by dt, when you are given the condition with initial rest conditions for a relaxed system, the value of dft by dt Laplace transform will be only sfs. Similarly, for f double dash t, it will be s square fs. Since in case of relaxed systems, no values of f0, f dash 0 will be given, the answer will be only up to sfs or s square fs or like that. But when the initial conditions are given, that means if the system is a non-relaxed system, and that case only the formula will be dft by dt. For dft by dt, it will be sfs minus f0. Similarly, like that. Now let us take an example to clear this point. We have been given a causal LTI system which is described by a linear constant coefficient differential equation as being given like this: d2 it by dt square plus 3 dyt by dt plus 2 yt is equals to xt. Since the equation of the system, so we have been given to solve the equation of the system when xt is equals to alpha ut with initial rest condition. So very clear it is given here that the initial conditions are in rest conditions, that is it is a relaxed system. For relaxed system, the formula for d2 by dt square, the Laplace transform for this case will be only s square ys. It is s square ys. For dy by dt, it is s ys. Similarly, it is now here 3, because here 3 is given, so it will be 3s ys plus 2. For yt, it will be ys. So taking ys common, the input side, left hand side will be ys s square plus 3s plus 2, and at xt it is equals to xs. Now we know from the convolution property that ys is equals to x of s multiplied by h of s. That is the Fourier transform or Laplace transform of output is equals to the multiplication of the Laplace transform of the impulse response and the Laplace transform of the input signal. Therefore, from the formula of convolution property, hs will be nothing. Hs will be equals to ys divided by x of s. If since hs is equals to pi s divided by xs, the value of h of s in this case will be 1 upon s square plus 3s plus 2. So finally, taking the partial fraction expansion to calculate yt or the inverse Laplace transform, the value of output yt will be equals to alpha is a constant here. It is 1 upon 2 for 1 by s. It will e raised to minus of t for s plus 1, and similarly e raised to minus of 2t for 1 upon s plus 2. This is the answer. Now, this is the case when the condition was given in the initial side, that the initial system is a at the rest condition. Similarly, we have a second part of this question. If the system is non-relaxed, so now when the system is a non-relaxed system, we have been given some initial conditions, that is y0 is equals to 2, y dash 0 is equals to 1, and the input if the same, if the input is same, that is xt is equals to alpha times of ut. Now the formula will change. The formula for d2 it by dt square will be s square ys minus of s times of y0 minus of y dash 0. This will be the formula for d2 it by dt square. Similarly, for dyt by dt, it is 3 times 3 is a constant here, sys minus of y0, 3 times of y0. Similarly, for 2yt, it is 2ys is equals to xs. Taking ys common, it will be ys into s square plus 3s plus 2 minus of, taking the solving this equation, it will be like this. So from this case, we have calculated the output ys in terms of the input side. It is ys is equals to alpha upon s square plus 3s plus 2 into s. The same value is here. Alpha ys is equals to alpha upon s into s square plus 3s plus 2 plus 2s divided by this value, since ys is equals to xs into hs. So this is the output in this case. Now in this case, you can clearly identify there are two parts of this output. This part is the same output which has been calculated when the system was at initial rest condition. So this is the output, that the response of the system with zero initial conditions or the relaxed system. For the relaxed system, the output is alpha upon like this, also called as zero state response. That is the response of the system with initial conditions are zero. When the initial conditions are zero, the response will be the same response which we have already calculated in the first part of this question. Similarly, the remaining part of this answer is known as zero input response of the system. Since no part of input is available in this part of the output, therefore this output is defined as zero input response of the system. That is, this is the output when no input is given to the system. Without any input, the output is calculated here, and this output is known as zero input response of the system. So we have two parts of the output when the system is at non-relaxed conditions. We have two parts. One part is defined as zero initial condition or zero state response, and another is zero input response. Zero state response is the output of relaxed system, and zero input response is the output when the input is the output is obtained without any given input. So it is very easy to calculate. Just remember that when the initial conditions are given, you have to use the formula of unilateral Laplace transform. But when the initial conditions are not given, just use the normal formula that we have already studied in bilateral Laplace transform. Again, another question is given here. A causal LTI system is described by the differential equation d2 d square plus 4d plus 4. Here d represents dyt by dt multiplied by yt is equals to d plus 1 ft. Now solve the differential equation if the initial conditions are given. Clearly here the initial conditions are given, so it is a non-relaxed system. The formula will be for d square, that is d2 it by dt square. The formula will be s square ys, since it is multiplied by yt here, so it will be s square ys minus of s y0 minus of y dash 0. This will be for d square. Similarly, the Laplace transform for 4d, it will be 4 sys minus of 4y0. Again for 4yt it will be 4ys. Taking the Laplace transform at this side, it will be sfs. For dft it is sfs minus of f0 plus ff. For ft it will be fs. Solving this, we get the value of ys is equals to 2s plus 5 upon s square plus 4s plus 4. Now this is known as zero input response of the system. You can clearly see in this case that the output has been calculated without any input xt. So the output in this case is known as input response of the system. Or you just check whether the system has been given with initial conditions or not. If the initial conditions are given, use the formula of unilateral Laplace transform to solve the linear constant coefficient differential equation. But when the initial conditions are not given, it is clear that the system is a relaxed system, and you have to use the normal formula of bilateral Laplace transform or differential formula of bilateral Laplace transform. That means f0, f dash 0, these values will be not used, and direct values of the formula will be applicable. An important part again here comes. We have already seen what are rational transfer functions or rational system functions of the calculations. In case of Z transform, the same part has been given here for the Laplace transform. How it is described? The transfer function of an LTI system is equal to the ratio of the, very clear from the convolution property. We have already seen this, that the transfer function of the LTI system is equal to the ratio of the Laplace transform ys of the output signal to the Laplace transform of xs of the input signal. That is, h of s is defined as the transfer function of any system, and the transfer function formula is ys divided by xs. We have already seen this in our previous examples. If xt is the input to a given signal and yt is the output to the system for to the given LTI system, and whose impulse response is ht, then the transfer function of the system will be defined as hs, and it will be the ratio of ys by xs. The transfer function of LTI system may also be expressed in this form, uh, or in this form, in the rational system function form. Here k is a real number, and then z1, z2, z2, it is defined in factor form here, because to when you are asked to define the poles and zero plot of the transfer function, you need to define the transfer function in the form of factors. So z1, z2 and another values of z are referred to as zeros of the hs, that is values of s at which hs is equals to 0. That is values of z, values of s for which hs is equals to 0 are defined as zeros of the transfer function, and similarly p1, p2 are defined as poles, which will be calculated when the values of s for which s of s is equals to infinite, then those values of s are defined as poles of hs. Now how this transfer function has been used to analyze any LTI system? See, we have already seen these points, and it is for a theory part, it is again given here. The response of the LTI system is obtained by the convolution formula. The Laplace transform plays an important role in the analysis of the system, since the input and output response of the systems are related by the convolution property as ys is equals to xs into hs, uh, where ys, xs, and hs are already known to us. It is the Laplace transform of input, output, and the impulse response of the system. Now, here comes a very important point uh, for our knowledge as well as for calculation of numericals. How can you check whether a given LTI system is a causal LTI system in terms of Laplace transform? Here, we have already checked for any system, for any general system, how can you calculate the causality of a system. A causal system is a system for which the output at any time depends only on the present or past values of the input. This is the general definition of a causal system. But when you are going to check what is the condition of causality for any LTI system, the general condition of causality for any LTI system was that the impulse response should be zero for the values of n or for the values of t which are less than zero. That is, for the negative values of t or n, the impulse response should be zero to define a system to define a LTI system as a causal LTI system. These were the cases, these were the conditions when you are using time domain. But in case of frequency domain, how can you check whether a given LTI system is a causal LTI system or not? See, uh, for a causal LTI system in time domain, the impulse response is zero for the values of t less than zero, and this is right-sided. That the system should be a right-sided system. That is, that t should be equals to zero for t less than zero. This is the condition for a causal LTI system when you are dealing it in time domain. But when you are dealing the same system in frequency domain, if the Laplace transform is given and ROC is described for the system, how can you check whether a given LTI system is a causal LTI system or not? A very simple condition is here given. Please remember this condition, since we have very less time with our examination, so I'm not going to discuss the details of this condition since they are also not very much required. But you should know what is the condition of causality of any LTI system in frequency domain when Laplace transform is given and the ROC is described for the system. See, for a system with a rational transfer function or a rational system function, for causality of the system is equivalent to the ROC being the right half plane to the right of the rightmost pole. So the ROC, to the if the ROC is described as the right half to the rightmost pole of the system, if the ROC is defined to be the area which is the right side of the rightmost pole of the system, then the system is defined as a causal LTI system in case of Laplace transform. So very important condition. Please remember this. The ROC should be to the right side. The ROC should be defined to the right side of the rightmost pole of the system. Then the system is defined as a causal LTI system. We'll see some examples. How can you check the causality of a system? Now here comes the stability of an LTI system. In general time domain system, an LTI system is described to be a stable LTI system if the impulse response is absolutely integrable. This was the condition of a stable LTI system when you deal the system in time domain. So in time domain, the stability of a LTI system was described by the condition that the its impulse response should be absolutely integrable. This was the condition in time domain. But when you are dealing the same LTI system in frequency domain and the ROC of the system is given, so how can you check whether a given LTI system is a stable LTI system? The condition is very simple. The LTI system in frequency domain or Laplace transform is defined as a stable LTI system if and only if the ROC of the system function should include the entire geom axis. This is the condition of stability for a given LTI system under Laplace transform. So we have two conditions here, one for the causality and another one for the stability. For the causality, the condition is very clear. The ROC should be defined to the right side of the rightmost pole. If the ROC is defined to the right side of the rightmost pole of the system function or the transfer function, then the system is defined as a causal LTI system. Similarly, if ROC includes the entire geom axis, if the ROC includes the entire geom axis, then the system is defined as a given LTI system is defined as a stable LTI system. Now, another third condition is can also be checked here. What will be the condition if for a system should be to be a causal and a stable LTI system? The system should be a causal and a stable LTI system. The condition is very simple. A causal system with a rational transfer function Hs is stable if and only if all the poles of the system function or the transfer function should lie in the left half of the S-plane. So for a LTI system to be causal as well as stable, for a LTI system to be defined as a causal as well as a stable system, all the poles of the system function or all the poles of the transfer function Hs should lie on the left half of the S-plane. If all the poles lie on the left half of the S-plane, you can directly say that the system is a causal as well as a stable system. If and so we have three conditions. First, for causality. For the causality, the condition is ROC should be defined to the right side of the rightmost pole. Second, the condition of stability, ROC should include the entire geom axis. And the third condition for causal as well as a stable LTI system, the Poles of the system should be defined on the left half of the S-plane. I am skipping the conditions for same conditions for the Z transform. How can you define whether here I have taken both the cases for the Laplace transform as well as for the jet transform. Since we are dealing with the frequency domain, what will be the condition of causality for a LTI system with a system function h of z? What is h of z in case of jet transform? H of z will be yz divided by x of z. Since we call the same in the Laplace transform as a transfer function, the same uh, transfer function is known as system function is in case of Z transform. So h of s was equals to ys by xs, and in Laplace transform, and in the case of Z transform it is defined as h of z, which will be equals to yz divided by x of z. Poles and zero positions are same, uh, are calculated in the same manner in both the cases of Laplace transform as well as for the Z transform. So we have learned the three conditions for causality, stability, and for both causal and stable LTI system in case of Laplace transform. How can you check whether a given LTI system is a causal LTI system or a stable LTI system, or a causal as well as a stable LTI system? Now can we can very quickly we can learn the same conditions in case of Z transform. A discrete time LTI system with a rational system function h of z is causal if the ROC is the exterior of a circle outside the outermost pole. The condition for causality in case of Z transform is when ROC is given, ROC of the system function is given. The condition is very simple. ROC should be the exterior of a circle outside the outermost pole. ROC should be defined in defined as the area in the Z plane, which is the area outside the outermost pole. Similarly, the condition of stability of LTI system, an LTI system is stable if and only if the ROC of the system function includes the unit circle. If the ROC of the system function includes the unit circle, then we can say that the particular LTI system in Z transform is a stable LTI system. The condition of causality in that transform is the ROC is the exterior of a circle outside the outermost pole. Similarly, the condition of stability is the ROC should include the unit circle. And third condition, causal as well as a stable LTI system. A causal LTI system with a rational system function h of z is stable if and only if all the poles lie inside the unit circle. So we have three conditions for Laplace transform and the similar three conditions for the Z transform. For the Laplace transform, causality is ROC should be the area which is the right side of the rightmost pole. Stability condition was ROC should include the entire j omega axis, and third condition stable and causal LTI system. Uh, third condition was very simple. Uh, the poles of the system function lie in the left. All the poles of the system function should lie in the left half of the S plane. Similarly, the three conditions for Z transform: causality condition, ROC should be the exterior of a circle outside the outermost pole. Stability condition, ROC should include the unit circle. ROC should include the unit circle. And the third condition, causality and stability, all the poles of the system function h of z should lie inside the unit circle. Again, linear constant coefficient differential equation describing the linear time invariant systems. We have already seen this pattern. H of s is defined as ys by xs in case of Laplace transform. Since we are dealing with the Laplace transform here, similarly, in case of Z transform, it is the function is defined as system function, which is h of z, and it is the ratio of yz by x of z. We have a question here. Consider an LTI system with the system function dy t. With the system, the differential equation is given dy t by dt plus 3 y t is equals to x. So no initial conditions are given, and the question is find out h of s. H of s can be calculated by applying the Laplace transform on both the sides. It is s by s plus 3 by s is equals to xs, and it gives a direct result of hs, which is 1 upon s plus 3. Now here transfer function is calculated, but we cannot directly say whether the system is a causal LTI system or a stable LTI system or whatever it is. Why? Because here the ROC is not calculated, not defined for this system. If the ROC of the system is given, we can detect whether this system is a causal LTI system. Causal means right side or left side, or stable LTI system, or both causal as well as stable. This shows that the differential equation itself is not a complete specification of an LTI system, since they provide us only with the algebraic expression for the system function. But you are not having the answer about the characteristics of the LTI system, because the region of convergence of the system is not given. So if in addition to the differential equation, some information about the causality of the system is also known, the ROC of the system can be determined. How can you calculate the ROC of the system if the condition of causality is defined? Now see, we have added here a condition. So if the above system is a causal system, now if the above system is a causal system, if I say that this system is a causal LTI system, and the condition of causality, we already know that the condition of causality is the ROC should be the should be the area which is the right side of the rightmost pole. Since we have only one pole position in this case, the one pole position in this case is s is equals to -3. The pole position s is equals to -3. So the all the values of s which are defined to the right side of s is equals to -3 in the s plane uh, is defined as ROC of the system. So ROC of the system is real part of s should be greater than equals to -3, will be defined as the ROC of the system if the system is a causal LTI system. And if the system is a causal LTI system, the impulse response of the system will be e raised to minus of 3t ut. The inverse Laplace transform applied here, and it will be the value of impulse response will be ht is equals to e raised to minus of 3t ut, since it is a right-sided system. Now, if the condition has been changed, if I change the condition that the system, given system, if the given system is an anti-causal LTI system, anti-causal means just the opposite of causal system, then in that case ROC will be defined as the area which is to the left of the rightmost pole, left of the rightmost pole, left of the leftmost pole, left of the leftmost pole. But in this case only one pole position is given, so the area is remain, so the point will be, pole position will remain same, that is real part of s. S is equals to -3. And for anti-causal system, the condition is the ROC should be the left of the leftmost pole. This is the condition, general condition. Since there are no other pole position defined, so we have only the same position of pole, s is equals to -3. So for anti-causal LTI system, the ROC will be real part of s should be less than equals to -3. It means that it is a left-sided system. Though the impulse response applying the inverse Laplace transform, the impulse response of this system will be ht is equals to minus of e raised to minus of 3t u minus t. This is a left-sided sequence. How can you get this answer? This answer has been calculated by knowing the condition that the system is an anti-causal system. Since the system is an anti-causal system, it means that it is a left-sided system. In the previous case, the system was a causal LTI system. That means the system was a right-sided system. That's why for the same algebraic expression for the Laplace transform, the impulse response values are different. For the previous case, the impulse response value was e raised to minus of 3t ut, since it is a right-sided system. For anti-causal system, ht will be equals to minus of e raised to minus of 3t u minus t. Let me check another question. Consider an LTI system with input xt is equals to e raised to minus of 3t ut. It is a right-sided system already given here. Already we can see from the question it is a right-sided system, and output is also given for this system. Again a right-sided system. Now question is, comment about the causality and stability of this system and determine the system ROC, as well as determine the differential equation relating the input and output of the system. We have been given input of the system, we have been given output of the system, and the question is calculate the causality and check the causality and stability of the system. So first, when you have been given such type of question to check the causality and stability of any system, of any LTI system, first of all the first step of calculation should be the calculation of transfer function. The transfer function is h of s, and it is always equals to ys divided by xs. You have been given the value of xt, calculate x of s from xt. You have been given the value of yt in this question, calculate ys for this case. So we have both the values. Xs, it is equal to 1 upon s plus 3. It is a right-sided signal, so ROC will be real part of s should be greater than -3. Ys will be, for this case, ys will be 1 upon s plus 1 into s plus 2, and the ROC will be the common area in these two cases, and the ROC will be real part of s should be greater than -1. So we have two values of xs and ys. Finally, h of s, it is a transfer function, and it is equal to the ratio of ys by xs. Finally, we have the value of hs. The ROC for this transfer function is very, very important, because on the basis of ROC you can comment about the causality and stability of the system. So what will be the ROC in this case? If the ROC of ys is known, if the ROC of xs is known, it is the intersection of ys and ROC of ys and the ROC of xs. And finally we have the final value of ROC. In this case, it is real part of s should be greater than equals to -1. It is the common area between the ROCs of xs and ys, and it is finally came out equals to real part of s should be greater than -1. Now, comment whether the system is a causal LTI system or a non-causal LTI system. Clearly, from this expression of real ROC, It is right-sided ROC. Since the ROC is a right-sided ROC, we can say that this system is a causal LTI system. Uh, in these three pole position, one is at s is equals to minus 3, other one is at s is equals to minus 1 and minus 2. The rightmost pole is s is equals to minus 1. Since the ROC is final ROC is defined to the area which is right of the rightmost pole, so the system is a causal LTI system. Very clear. Uh, since all the poles are defined in the left half of the S-plane. All the poles are defined on the left half of the S-plane, so we can say that the system is a stable system because the ROC should include the condition of stability was ROC should include the j omega axis. ROC includes the j omega axis. In this case, the ROC is including the j omega axis because the rightmost pole is defined at the value of s is equals to minus 1. It will definitely include the j omega axis. Since the ROCs include including the j omega axis, we can clearly say that the system is a stable LTI system. So we have the result for causality as well as the stability of the system by calculating the ROC of the transfer function. Now the next question was determine the system ROC. We have already calculated the ROC system of the system function, and final the determine the differential equation relating the input and output. We have the ratio ys by xs. It is equals to s plus 3 upon s square plus 3s plus 2. Cross multiplying it, we have the final value here s square ys. And taking the inverse Laplace transform, we have the final value of differential equation relating this. Since no initial condition is given, this is the system at relaxed conditions. So final value of the system differential equation is d2it by dt square plus 3 dyt by dt plus 2yt is equals to dxt by dt plus 3xt. This is the final value of the differential equation relating the input and output when the input and output are given. So be alert and be very patient to solve the questions of inverse Laplace of the Laplace transform, solve the questions of differential equations using the Laplace transform. This is somewhat different from the calculation of linear constant coefficient difference equation. So be alert to the questions of solution to calculate the solution, total solution of linear constant coefficient difference equation as well as total solution linear constant coefficient differential equation. In case of difference equation, we will use a particular solution and the homogeneous solution, and in case of differential equation, we'll see whether the given conditions are at a relaxed for the relaxed system or non-relaxed systems. If the system is a non-relaxed system, use the property of unilateral Laplace transform. If the system is a relaxed system, use the property of bilateral Laplace transform. So that's all for today. It is a very, very important lecture I have covered today. That is a solution of linear constant coefficient differential equation, and unilateral Laplace transform has been employed in solution of LCCD for this case. Please do practice these questions. Do check the conditions of causality, stability, and both in case of Z transform as well as for the Laplace transform. And don't skip these questions because these are very, very important questions. They may come in examination. To practice, and if in case of any query, ask me in the group. I'm available for you at every time. Okay, thank you.